hand you all, or Marlon will provide it later on, a statement on Afghanistan. And we support, I'll just give you a little summary of it at the outset here. We support the Afghan efforts to fashion a stable, broadly based government responsive to the needs of the Afghan people. Throughout the long, dark years of Afghanistan's occupation, the international community has been steadfast in its support of the Afghan cause, and this certainly has been true for the United States. Our commitment, the commitment of the United States to the people there, will remain, and will remain firm, both through our bilateral humanitarian aid program and through United Nations efforts to remove the mines and resettle the refugees and help reconstruct the war-torn economy. So we would call upon the Soviet Union to refrain from other forms of interference in Afghan affairs. The Soviet Union has nothing to fear from the establishment of an independent, non-aligned Afghanistan. And they do bear a certain special responsibility for healing the wounds of this war. And I would hope that the Soviet Union would generously support international efforts to rebuild Afghanistan. And there'll be a fuller statement on this later on.
Hoping also that the rebels will not conduct a bloodbath once they get in the ascendant and really take power. I mean, it's a two-way street, isn't it? In victory, magnanimity, is there any sense that you would like to convey that to the rebels, or do you think it's just a one-way street for the Soviets?
Well, I don't think a bloodbath is in anyone's interest, and I think if we had a catalytic role, I would hope it would be, along with others, working towards reconciliation and towards a peaceful resolution now to all the problems. There's been enough of a bloodbath there, and so I think you raise a good point, Helen, and yes, I feel strongly that time for recrimination is over, time for bloodbaths is over, and I would like to see the various factions get together and come up with recommendations that would lead to a peaceful Afghanistan with no more bloodbaths. Mr.
President, the Soviet Union is calling for an immediate ceasefire in Afghanistan and an embargo on arms shipments. Would you go along with that idea?
Here's one of the complicating factors on that call. There is some concern about what we call stockpiling, and it would not be fair to have tremendous amount of lethal supplies left behind and then cut off support for resistance, and thus leaving an unacceptable imbalance. And so before one could do anything other than appeal for peaceful resolution, which I've done, one needs to know the real facts on this question, this troublesome question of stockpiling.
So does that mean that we'll continue to aid the rebels?
That means we will do what we need to do to see that there is a peaceful resolution of this question, that one side does not dominate militarily, and we will be encouraging reconciliation.
On my orders, the United States military has begun strikes against al-Qaeda terrorist training camps and military installations of the Taliban regime in Afghanistan. These carefully targeted actions are designed to disrupt the use of Afghanistan as a terrorist base of operations and to attack the military capability of the Taliban regime. We are joined in this operation by our staunch friend, Great Britain. Other close friends, including Canada, Australia, Germany, and France, have pledged forces as the operation unfolds. More than 40 countries in the Middle East, Africa, Europe, and across Asia have granted air transit or landing rights. Many more have shared intelligence. We are supported by the collective will of the world. More than 2 weeks ago, I gave Taliban leaders a series of clear and specific demands: close terrorist training camps, hand over leaders of the al-Qaeda network, and return all foreign nationals, including American citizens unjustly detained in your country. None of these demands were met, and now the Taliban will pay a price. By destroying camps and disrupting communications, we will make it more difficult for the terror network to train new recruits and coordinate their evil plans. Initially, the terrorists may burrow deeper into caves and other entrenched hiding places. Our military action is also designed to clear the way for sustained, comprehensive, and relentless operations to drive them out and bring them to justice. And we will not fail. Peace and freedom will prevail. Every time I talk to a world leader, I urge them to continue finding the out. You may remember recently there was a lot of discussion about crop dusters. Now, the American people have got to go about their business. We cannot let the terrorists achieve the objective of frightening our nation to the point where we don't conduct business, where people don't shop. That's their intention. Their intention was not only to kill and maim and destroy, their intention was to frighten to the point where our nation would not act. Today we brought to justice a person that killed an American citizen in 1986. Ours is a war against terrorism in general. Mr. bin Laden is one of the worst. But as you may remember, we published the 22 most wanted. He's one of 22 we're after. In terms of Mr. bin Laden himself, we'll get him running. We'll smoke him out of his cave. And we'll get him eventually. But success or failure depends not on bin Laden. Success or failure depends upon routing out terrorism where it may exist all around the world. Let me start backwards. I don't know if he's dead or alive. I want him brought to justice, however. We are following every possible lead to make sure that any al-Qaeda member that could be in the United States is brought to justice. The FBI has got thousands of agents who are following every hint of a possibility of an al-Qaeda member in our country. So America is sacrificing. America, I think the interesting thing that has happened, and this is so sad an incident, but there are some positive things that are developing. One is, I believe that many people are reassessing what's important in life. Moms and dads are not only reassessing their marriage and the importance of their marriage, but of the necessity of loving their children like never before. I think that's one of the positives that have come from the evildoers. Cannot be even, the case is more strong today than it was on September the 10th. We've created a special relief effort that will be supervised by the Red Cross. We're asking every child in America to earn or give $1 that will be used to provide food and medical help for the children of Afghanistan. You can send your $1 in an envelope marked America's Fund for Afghan Children right here to the White House, 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue, Washington, D.C. We take every threat seriously. The threats that we have heard recently remind us of the pattern of threats we heard prior to September the 11th. We have no specific threat to America, but we're taking everything seriously, obviously, and so therefore we have gone to a different level of concern, different threat level, which means our government will be providing extra security at key facilities, and that will be increasing surveillance. We'll do everything we can to protect the American people, and Americans need to go about their lives. They just need to know that that their government at the federal and state and local level will be on extra level of alert to protect us. May God bless you. May God bless Afghanistan. May God continue to bless America. I'll make the case of how I think we ought to proceed and on how we work together to keep the peace. I'm going to the United Nations to give this speech for a reason, because I believe this is an international problem and that we must work together to deal with the problem. And I am also very mindful of my job as the American president to do everything we can to protect the American people. And I'm deeply concerned about a leader who has ignored the United Nations for all these years, has refused to conform to resolution after resolution after resolution, who has weapons of mass destruction. And the battlefield has now shifted to America, so there's a different dynamic than we've ever faced before, and I take these threats seriously. The most thing I take most seriously is my job to protect innocent life here on the homeland, and I will respond to this threat starting Thursday, and I look forward to the chance to do so. In the meantime, tomorrow is going to be a hard day for a lot of Americans. It's going to be a day of tears and a day of prayer, a day of national resolve. It also needs to be a day in which we confirm the values which make us unique and great. And that's one of the reasons I came here today, to be with friends, to assure all Americans that we will embrace those values